Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Worm, as always. It's time to get back at this cabin, my winter cabin. I got a lot done in like a matter of 1 week. It's all of a sudden you can see where it's going to be, you can see the shape and everything. And that's of course after 2 to 3 months of cutting trees and milling all this lumber with the chainsaw. It's about time to throw some floorboards on here, and then I'll have to figure the layout. I don't really have any idea where. I've got some windows, a door, and then of course I'll build all the furniture for the inside of it and figure out how to finish it off real nice. You guys saw previously this big tree that was down here, a couple big aspens. Most of them were junky, but I got a few logs out of one of the big ones. So I've got some floorboards started there. They're actually pretty nice lumber. But because I use all this stuff green, I don't wait for it to dry out. This has been sitting here for, I don't know, a month or something. And often, a lot of that time was in the sun. And you can see these top boards are starting to dry out because they're starting to cup. So I really want to get them nailed down pretty fast. That's kind of the cheat that I've invented is if you're too impatient to let your lumber dry before you build with it, then build with it when it's really green and you can get it all tacked in place. And actually, this stuff is super splitty and warpy, but you get it tacked down and it actually turns out a lot more usable and nicer lumber if you do use it right away. Of course, you could sticker all these, put some weight on them, probably get them to dry the right way, but I'm not gonna do that. I do not have that kind of patience. It's like, oh, what should I build today? Yep, that sounds good. Let's cut the tree and nail it together immediately. I've been in a tent out here in the middle of nowhere, northern Michigan for, I think, like 2.5 years. I don't have any plans to quit that, but you know, if I want to stay out here longer term than just a couple of years, figured it was time to build an actual cabin. And because it's only going to get used in the winter, it needs to be well insulated. Now, of course, what I think of as well insulated and what a normal builder would think of as well insulated, those are not the same thing. There are probably some parts where I'll put double insulation in, other parts I'll think, I don't really want to do that right now and not insulate it at all. That's the choice you get to make when you're doing the building. I kind of have to figure out how I'm going to do the floor. I was thinking, sort of in the back of my head, thinking I would just do rolled insulation in here. Maybe later on put it in from the bottom or put another board on the bottom or something. Now I'm kind of thinking of putting Tyvek on here right now. I got a big roll of it and putting floorboards on top. And then later on, maybe next year, putting some pink board, some insulation board down on it and putting a second floor on top of it. I don't know. I'm not very good at making important decisions on the spot like this. So, you know, let's run down to the trailer real quick. I'll show you what I got. I'm just trying to buy myself time here so I don't have to decide. My thought was I'd try to keep this entire cabin, the entire build, under $1,000. I knew that was going to be pretty tight. I do have an old wood stove that I'm thinking of putting in here. It's got some of the pipes, I'm not really sure. I have one window that was left over from building this thing, and that was a used window from Habitat for Humanity Restore. I did just go on a long car cruise with my trailer to I think I went to 6 restores and was just looking for a certain kind of window. Anyway, I found one more window to put in, and I actually had to go to Menards and buy a real window, which I don't like buying new stuff, especially for something like this, but it was kind of just the right thing, and I got it for I think just under 200 bucks, so I couldn't really pass it up. You want to run down? You do? Yeah. All right, let's run down to the trailer. I'll show you what I bought. Tito let me borrow his bug shirt. I just retreated it with permethrin, and it's necessary. You get on the four-wheeler, you start burning down the trail, and those suckers just, you know, you've seen the videos, right? Yeah. You don't put this on, you get welts for a day or two. Watch, you'll see them. Oh, just got hit in the face by one. Yep. Those bastards. All right, let's see what we got here. So my mom gave me a broom. That's nice. And a floor mat made out of flip-flops. We got a nice flat steel door. I looked everywhere to get a flat steel door. You can hardly find them in the frame. That's the thing, is at the restores you can find all sorts of doors, but they're not in frames often, and I'm not going to build a frame. I'm not that smart, not that good of a builder. It'd come out way too wonky, so I can't remember how much that was. I want to say like 120 bucks or something for that door. I don't remember. Not sure where I got these big. Oh, Sarah had these big fat pavers. They're like 24 by 24. No idea what I'll do with those. This is the one window I bought new. I think it's like 5 feet by 4 feet or something. $200. Not a bad find. That one is considerably smaller. It looks new. Actually, it is new, but it was at the restore. I think we got that for $35. My dad found that one. Isn't that amazing? Brand new window for 35 bucks. I think the guy said, or the person at the restore said 45, and my dad said, well, can you do better? He said, yeah, 35. Okay, we'll take it. Anyway, so I got those two. I got one more sitting, a smaller one sitting up by the gazebo. That was one of the 3 pretty close to matching windows from the restore a couple years ago that I didn't use for the man cave. So I bought a massive roll of Tyvek that's like 8 or 9 feet long. Should be enough to do all of the walls and the floor. And then since I already spent $1.5 million on gas to get down to all these building stores, I went ahead and got the shingles too. So these are the same shingles that I used on all the other buildings. Oh, look at this. Some kind of bug has left its eggs here, and all the ants are running off with it. Interesting. Eat them, ants. Eat them. Get those eggs. They're good for you. It's protein. Make you big and strong. I would have normally tried to find somebody's used window shingles, leftover, actually, used shingles or windows. You know, people roof their houses, they always have leftovers because you buy a little more than you need, but with the gas prices as high as they were, it just like, I kind of did the math, and I'd only have so many miles to drive before I'd actually be losing money getting used shingles. So I think those, I'm trying to think how much those were. Those were 30 bucks a pack. I think I got 9 of them. So, you know, not breaking the bank so far. Not buying any studs, any sheathing, any siding, any of that stuff. So it's not going to be a very expensive build, as always, because I'm a cheapskate. Oh man, it's starting to rain again. I thought we were done for the day. Yep, got hit in the eye with a black fly on the way back here. Horse fly, deer fly? I don't know what it is. So if anybody's interested, here's what I'm trying to think out in my skull here. Actually, better than that, I'll show you. I'll show you how I did the man cave over here. It's just a single ply, 1-inch aspen board floor, and of various sizes, all the way up to like 14 or 15 inches wide. Some of them are skinnier. And I mean, that's just something to step on. This is a tool room. It doesn't make any difference. I kind of like that there are gaps in the floor during the summer because all this dirt and crap from my shoes get in there. You sweep it and it just goes right down through the floor, which is kind of nice. In the winter, I did have that little stove in there, this little tiny propane stove, and you know, if you're trying to heat the place, you don't want to have huge cracks in the floor because the heat just goes right through there. You can feel the wind going through it in the winter. But check out how much the floor is opened up. It's kind of good in the dark here. You can see these gaps. And this was, I put the floor down and then I caulked it and used it for the winter, and it really didn't separate at all until the spring when it got warm and dry. Then it started shrinking up. So I'm going to do the exact same floor, but I kind of like some kind of barrier underneath so that when it does open up like this, we don't get wind through the bottom of it. Then of course there'll have to be insulation too. So I put the Tyvek down, then put the boards on top of it. That gives you a nice barrier. However, for the next several months while I'm building the rest of this, the rain's going to be falling on the floor and going through the cracks in the floor and right on top of that Tyvek, and it's just going to hold the water there. I'm going to have to keep the whole thing tarped until I actually get a roof on it and get it dried in. The other option is just to do the floor just like I did in here, let the gaps open up, let the water go through it, and then deal with closing it all in, insulating it later. And if it's all completely dried in, then I could put insulation up underneath it. I could keep the cracks caulked, and then I don't really need that waterproofing layer in there. I don't know. Here's the thing. Let me tell you the thing. There are an awful lot of people out there that could look at this and say, this is exactly how you should do it. Usually when people say that, it involves me going out and spending money, so I'm not going to do that anyway. But there are a lot of people watching that probably have strong opinions on what I should do. The good thing for me though, this is all going to be done before you even see this video, so there's no recourse. What you're seeing is a guy just nailing stuff together the way that he thinks is right for the moment. As always, I'm going to do this, try to waste as little lumber as possible, so we'll lay them on there, piece them together, snap some lines. I'm not going to rip all these the same size because that'd be a major waste. I think maybe with some long ones and some short ones, this will work out all right. Man, it's too bad they got so cupped already. Maybe I can put them upside down and drive a lot of nails into them. I just got a couple of these massive ones. They're nice to use because clearly it takes less boards to get across the whole thing, but they also, some of these I thought about cutting in half anyway, even though they're milled huge, because when they shrink, the gaps get huge. You know, if they shrink like 10% of their width and you've got a 20-inch board, you end up with a monster gap. Luckily, most of them aren't that big. I think I'm just going to throw this one in like it is. I only have this one giant one. You probably noticed I'm not doing the famous chop and scooch method. I call it famous just because I'm an idiot. I've never seen it done. Nobody's ever said, hey, that's a great system you got there for fitting floorboards, but I'm not doing the chop and scooch because these boards are all really straight. If there's a lot of curve in them, it's nice to fit the curves together and then just run the saw through and scoot them together instead of cutting that entire curve off the board. Then you're just left with so little material. It's also a lot easier on the back to trim these right here than standing on top and bending over all the time to chop and scooch them. I can't believe how fast this goes together. This is what it's like for normal people. This is great. Unfortunately, it's going to get stalled in just a minute. I only got a couple more courses already milled up here, and then I got to go find another tree. Actually, there are a couple over here that need to come down. I got my tree checker. Let's go find another aspen. Man, I just hope I can find a good one. There are 4 or 5 of them that need to, actually quite a few that need to come down, and I'm afraid, well, the reason they need to come down is because they're all rotty. All right, let's go have a look. Oh yeah, I can actually see a whole bunch of splits and stuff in it. Ooh, that actually doesn't sound too bad. Huh, that would be sweet. It's not very wide, not a very huge log. You can see it's not super healthy there. Yeah, pretty rot, but it could just be rot under the bark. Ooh, yeah. That might just be the bark. Usually it's the inside that's bad, not the outer rings. Because as y'all know, the tree grows the live parts on the outside and the dead wood on the inside is the earlier part of the tree. So the stuff that's been there for 50 years, you know, that's the stuff that starts rotting, and then the outer part underneath the bark is what's being laid down as new wood. There are two more over here. Man, they're huge, and the bark on the bottom is almost completely off of them. See those two at the crown right up in the middle of the screen there? They are past their prime, not very healthy. Let's give them the old tester. Yeah. See, that one sounds hollow. A little more dull thuddy. I can see it's soft down here. Could just be one spot of the bark. Hard to say. That is a monster. Actually, well over 100 feet tall. And I think the cabin foundation's just over 100, maybe 100 feet away. It would definitely crush a lot of other trees to cut it down. Tough part is always deciding, you know, do you cut them down now so they don't crush something else, or do you just let them stand? I mean, they've been up and unhealthy probably for 5 or 10 years, and even in, you know, a few times a year we get giant windstorms, they haven't come down. I don't know. I don't know if you can see, but up around this area there's like a whole garden growing on that tree. Bunch of open wounds where the branches broke off, so that's probably a lot of not very good wood. This one actually looks nicer, but sounds hollower. I don't know if you can see up here where it turns white. That's probably pretty good. It's not very many feet of very thick lumber though. Man. Oh, how to choose. It's not just which one's good lumber or which ones need to come down. It's also, you gotta have the energy and the days to clean up all those branches. Those are some massive branches on it. Some of them are a foot around and, you know, 30 feet long. For comparison, yeah, that does sound not too solid. I mean, if you knock on them and they sound hollow, that's because they're hollow. If they sound solidish, they could be solidish and not really solid. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily good milling trees. I'm going for this small leaning one first. Wow, yeah, that sucker's going. I only cut a tiny bit in, grabbed my saw, so this sucker's gonna rip right down. It's really snaggled up there. It's a good thing these aspens have a lot of weight to just rip their way down. Garbage in the bottom. That's a toughie. The middle's getting better with each cut. The wood around the outside is great. So it's a wasting all this wood to cut this round off just to get rid of this. But I mean, this is not quite a good log until I get to here. There's a bend in it. I guess I could mill that. I'd really like to get a 12-footer out of this. Now ideally, I'd like this to not end up, I don't want to make lumber that's like, you know, 2 inches short of coming to the next floor joist. So let's see what the nearest one is. This is 10/8, so I'd have to make 11 footers to make it to that joist, or that's 12/5. Okay, well, 12.5 is not going to do me any good. I can't mill 12.5. I can mill about 12.4 because my bars are 13 feet. So this is all good down to, looks like about here, and then it goes wonky. Actually, you can see this is hollow, so there's probably a bad spot right there. Well, let's just see if it's still good wood here. You can see where that knot was. Water goes into the knot and then runs. Oh, that's actually up. Oh, it's coming from that knot there. We'll just keep working it down from one end to the other until there's nothing left. Well, this might go all the way through it. Might shoot the whole project. This is nice wood here. Just look at all the water in there. I mean, it's kind of pretty, but this stuff you don't really want pretty. It's interesting. I wonder what happened here. That'd have been about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or something. This species of tree is completely foreign to me. I don't really understand what causes most of this stuff. You know, a lot of times you just see a bad spot in it, which is, you know, some woodpecker or something drilled in here, made a hole, the water got in, made a bad spot, which is what this could be. There could be a woodpecker hole up higher and the water went in, went down, but I don't know, this around the outside edge is strange. Something happened to the tree. I mean, I guess those could actually have been woodpecker holes 10 years ago, and then the tree put on some more layers and covered them all up. I don't know. You know, so much of this world's a mystery, isn't it? Especially if you're not too smart. A lot of mysteries, a lot of mysteries. It's 12.5, so we don't want to go past that. If I have to, I'll just mill that and, you know, we'll get a couple good sticks out of it. It's kind of a pain when you know the whole log's not good all the way through to just get a few boards when you spend all the time milling and cutting and cleaning everything. Yeah, it's a lot better on this end. So let's go 12.5 down instead and cut it off down there, and we'll just go after it. 12.6. Yeah, it's far from ideal. A whole tree, we got one 12-foot log that's not very good. Ugh, and that was the good tree. All the rest of them that need to come down are considerably bigger than this one, which also means older, which means had more years to rot. Just thought of one more chunk of trees that I didn't look at yet. I actually started clearing a long time ago because I thought if I ever built this cabin, it was going to be out here, out on the hillside. There are a few pretty straight, much smaller aspens out here. Ooh, that one looks pretty good. Oh, except they're so dead on top, like all the way up, all the branches are missing, which means, you know, you're not cutting down a healthy tree when it looks like that. I don't know, see if I can figure out which one it is here. It's this little tuft. This is the hillside that I was thinking about putting the cabin on, but where I'm eventually going to build the massive outdoor kitchen. So of course I'm going to need lumber for that, but actually there are like 4 or 5 right there that don't look too great and would fall over and reach my kitchen. Guess we could go give those a knocking. Sounds weird. Pretty hollow. Oh man, I don't know. That is a straight one. That would be sweet. It does not look healthy though. It crosses my mind to wonder if anybody watching these videos knows why this is so hard to figure out. I don't like cutting down trees just to cut down trees, like, oh, there's a good milling tree. I got tons of great milling trees around here, but I like to take down the least healthy ones, or of course anything that's going to fall and crush me in my sleep. But if they're standing nearby, they're not leaning hard my direction, and they look healthy, I leave them all up. So it's just kind of a pain to like decide to cut one of these down when the chances are 80% that they're going to be garbage inside, which is why they need to come down in the first place, because they're not safe. I think it wouldn't be quite as hard a decision if it weren't the middle of summer, but man, I just get freaking worn out. It's too bad because I have this one. This is the one I took the throwing knife target down off and cut it because it would reach, it was leaning and would reach out to my cabin there. And it's amazingly good wood. You don't see very often, but the whole thing is really crooked. There's not, I just looked at it again, and there's not a straight, there's not an angle you can look at it where it, you know, only bends one direction like this or like this. This thing kind of like does this weird looping corkscrew, so it's not not good for long boards. I think I will be able to get some furniture wood out of these. It's kind of cool if you only do like 6 feet long or something, and then mill some massive boards like, I don't know, 2, 3, 5, 6 inches thick. It'll make some really cool tables and stuff, but for right now, that's not gonna help me. Wow, that was a freaking good shot if I say so. I aimed it right in between these two stumps. It was a little bit to one side, about a foot off, but I think it's good wood. I think we're in business. You know, I always seem to be so surprised when the tree goes exactly where I want it to, and I take the time to cut it right and everything. There's no reason to be surprised. If you learn how to cut a tree, the lean's the right way, the wood's good. It's not like it's magic to get it, you know, right there. If you want a little tips on cutting trees, you can go back a couple episodes. There's I threw that in one of the videos. How you cut it, how you get it to go where you want to. Of course, disclaimer, don't listen to anything I say, I'm a nutcase. Yeah, this is, I think this is the one. It's got a bit of a jog right here, but I think I can cut that, get like maybe a 6 or 8 footer out of it. And I think the wood's good down there. A little bit of discoloration, but that's still, even at the very bottom there, it's still better than the last one we cut. Yeah, oh, that makes me so happy. This is a great one. The best part is the top of it, the twigs, the limbs and everything are like 20 feet from the fire pit, so we like that a lot. Did you guys notice how a tree falls down and then you guys, you know, oh, you yawn and then put your finger in your belly button and all of a sudden the whole thing's taken care of? Yeah, that doesn't seem fair. That's okay, I'll finish up this one. You guys, you get the next one. Look at you. Got to get this pile of scraps out of the way so I can pull the aspen logs up here. This is all the first and last cuts from the last few months of milling stuff. And all of it I milled down where the trees fell, quite a ways from here. So since it's a pain to mill stuff sitting on the ground, especially these little flaky boards that move around so much, I just bring them up here, throw them here, and then I'll mill them all at once. And, you know, just get some small 1-inch boards out of them instead of just burning all this stuff. But you can see these 2 little boards I've milled so far. See how white the wood is. Just blinding without almost any color to it at all. Some spots where it's, you know, getting some water in there, something that's got some texture, but that stuff alone I think would make a really cool floor if it was polished up. Look at the color of this dust. This is probably cedar over here. It's a big difference. White as can be, that's how you know it's really good Quaking Aspen. Holy crap, it rained so hard last night, it's ridiculous. I didn't sleep for like 2 or 3 hours. It's like a front came through, just ripping rain. It actually looks like all the forest floor was flowing, and there was lightning maybe average of every half a second. It was just like a constant flicker every 3 seconds would light up the whole tent. Man, that was something. Anyway, came out here to mill up my logs and check out what I found. I've really never seen a cedar like this. All these dark spots and weird colors and stuff. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's pretty solid. Got a couple of soft spots in it. I don't know if you can see, like right here, there's a little bit of a hole and it comes through and comes up here. It is crazy pretty though. You know what? I'm gonna make 2-inch boards out of it. Who knows what's inside? But if it's really pretty and not too rotty, I could epoxy the whole thing, make it a little bit more solid, make a table out of it. That's dope. That is some dope lumber. Look at that stuff. It's gorgeous. Even these outside pieces are pretty stellar. So I got 2 1-inch boards off of either end, and then I got those 3 2-inchers. So that'll be, shove those together. It looks like it'll be, you know, maybe mid-20s inch desk. That's great. And it looks like this is the same tree here. Yeah, I think this is all the same tree. So this one and this one, I think this is, I must have just milled the middle log out of this. You can see there's some holes and stuff in it, but hopefully I can figure out how to fill those. I do want to have a desk table that runs an entire wall, like a 17-foot desk. So looks like I might be able to get that out of these. This is going to be so cool. I can't wait to start putting the inside of it together. I've already built the outside. I mean, not of this one, but other ones. You know, milled the pine, made the 2x4s, milled the cedar, made the siding, put the roof on, all that stuff. So that's all pretty straightforward, but it's going to be sweet to make the inside really nice. And now the tables and stuff don't have to be out of just flat white lumber. Oh baby, we got some good stuff out of that. Check this out. This is the small log. And this is the big one. Sorry, the shadows on here, it's kind of hard to tell. This one's a little more stripy than mottled, but it's quite pretty. I wish, this is, I think these are ants in here. It'd be kind of cool if there were some more spots in the middle like that. I mean, it's not generally what you want for building, but they didn't destroy the wood around the holes. It's still pretty strong. This would be sweet to fill with resin. Wouldn't that be cool if that was the middle of the table? If I could get it all cleaned out and you could like see down in there through shined up resin. It's all the junk to be burned. Let's see what the color looks like if it's wet. Yeah, that'd make a pretty decent table, don't you think? It's got some green in it, orange, yellow, some good reds. Oh man, it keeps sinking in. It's getting even prettier. Some weird greens and stuff in there too. There you go. Now the colors are popping. That is sweet. I never bother doing that, dumping water on anything to see what the grains look like, because I never finish anything. So the way it looks out of the tree is the way it always looks. But this will be a fun project. Actually finish something. Whew, that'd be really weird. Do me a favor and don't tell anybody that I'm actually stacking and stickering lumber here. I wouldn't normally be doing this, but since it's going to be fine furniture and not used for probably 3 or 6 months, might as well make sure it doesn't warp. Just throwing this in the burn pile too, but it's so pretty I want to dump some water on it. Maybe there's too much reflection. All right, 2 days later, what was it we were trying to accomplish here? Oh yeah, I think I can get these Aspen logs out now, get them up to the sawhorses. I think I'll be able to lift them on there with the log lifter. Got a, what, 6, 7 footer, 10 footer, maybe 12 footer, I can't remember. See if we can yoink that one out of there. Wow, I hope I can pull that. Well, I can pull it as long as the log doesn't hit anything, which it probably will. Oh, nuts. My sawhorse is giving out. Finally, it finally rotted out. Maybe I can build this one log and then fix it. Will it break? Maybe it'll make it through, maybe it'll collapse and take my leg off. Hard to say. I got it up there, but it's too heavy for me to scoot down. So I got to be able to get the plate on this end, and I can't lift it to move it down. I have to get creative somehow. I've done this in reverse, where I put a sling on the tree up here, run the winch cable through it down to the log, and winched it this way, but going that way, there's not really anything to pull on. If I just hook the wheeler up to this and yank it, it's going to break the sawhorse off. Well, I only got one idea here. I don't know if it'll work or if it'll break the sawhorse. I'm ready to run if it breaks. Yeah, that's a problem. I wanted to make this long enough that I can span those floor joists over there. I think this is 12'5". Usually like 12'3" is about as much as I can do and still fit the mill on here, but I can get the front of the mill on. Maybe if I come at it like with the back lifted up and then sink into it, then I can just go back from that first cut and plane it back down. I don't know, it's all just theory. I just stopped and made some lunch. I'll show you a new friend I just made. It's a little bit young and helpless, but holy cow, that little dude can cruise. I almost stepped on him going into the lean-to. I actually thought it was a frog, lifted my foot off and saw his little bird, went over, did the dishes, came back, and he was already like 20 feet away, halfway climbed up a tree. So I don't really know how birds work. I don't know if he'll make it or not. He's a good climber, fast runner, so maybe. All right, you think that's enough? Got this one, this little one. We have 4 good ones there, and then one that's split on both ends. That's going to be really close. That seems to be the way I do things, though. I don't like to I don't like to over mill, although it has been nice to have all the stuff done up ahead of time. I don't know, you know, after a few days of milling, you just kind of want to go back and slap stuff together, and especially with this lumber. Okay, now I'm just making excuses for why I didn't mill more, but with this species of tree, this species of wood, it's too cuppy. If I let it sit, the next time I'll use it is for the roof, I think, for the roof sheathing. And if I just let it sit until then, even stacked and stickered, I think it'd still be way too messed up. So yeah, that's my excuse. Let's just see if this fits together. Man, I'm so done with the sun and with summer. You know, come February, something like that, you just think, or March or April, you wonder if winter's ever going to end, and you can't wait for it to be hot and sunny. But I'm not a fan. I do not like being in the sun anymore. I don't know what happened. I was listening to another podcast and I heard this one mentioned, and now I got a new one that I'm just burning through. It's a Broken Record. It's Malcolm Gladwell and Rick Rubin and a couple other guys, and they take turns interviewing huge names in music, like everybody you've ever heard of, and it's a great show. I just listened to one with Henry Rollins. It's hilarious. They asked him one question and then Rollins talked for like an hour straight. It was fascinating, the whole thing. Then I listened to one with Ringo Starr, and now I'm on to Neil Young. Great show, check it out. I mean, not if you hate music. If you hate music, don't bother. You know, when you spend a lot of time alone, it's kind of funny to notice your own thoughts, the things you think about. I was just marveling at how I'm building a cabin from power from the sun, and how strange that is. When you have solar panels, it's the sun that's running this and flattening these boards. I think that's bizarre. Would you look at this place? It's almost like a cabin or something. I mean, it's a little bit airy for my taste, but what am I saying? I live in a tent. Nothing could be too airy. Yeah, lots of room for activities. Well, let's see what next. I gotta cut the ends off, and then I'm gonna pull these all up, stack them, not make any mistakes, stack them all perfectly in one end, and I'm gonna roll that Tyvek out here. You can probably see now why I have to do it that way, because if I'd have had the Tyvek done while I was laying this out, it would all be just like crammed full of sawdust. I probably would have cut several holes in it. It wouldn't have been pretty, so this would be an easy way to do it. It'll only take an hour or something to pull these back and put them back down. This place is gonna be sweet. I mean, I know it's gonna be sweet because I'm gonna take my time and really make everything super nice in it, but I still have no real picture in my head of how I'm gonna put it all together. Anyway, don't you feel like that's enough for this week? I sure do. It's nearing the end of the day, and supposed to be like in the mid 80s tomorrow, so I'm not doing anything. Probably work on some editing, some videos, maybe play some guitar. But next video, we'll do just that. We'll cut the ends, put the Tyvek under here, and then I'll have to, I don't know, at least measure those windows, if not bring them up here, figure out where the window is going to go. Have to decide where the door is going to go. It'll certainly be in that end, facing out towards camp there somewhere. I don't know if we should put it in the middle. That would still give you lots of room to open the door and still have that massive desk all the way down one side. Or I guess I could put it off on one side. You kind of lose the corner, but then it gives you a whole nother wall. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe who knows? You know, sometimes there's just no way to know these things until you start cutting holes and chopping stuff up till there's no return. All right, see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Oh, I almost forgot. I was just going out to shoot around because I needed to walk around, and I haven't checked my trail cameras in a long time. See what kind of weirdness we caught so far this summer. And I just popped into my head, just like that, just bang. And I realized I haven't carved names yet. All right, shall we continue the border? All right, let's go shoot some stuff and look at pictures, eh? Hey, thank you guys so much. You know who you are. Well, I mean, obviously you know who you are because you just saw your names. Okay, see ya.